Eve, I'm trying to find something interesting to eat. I'm sick of apples. Apple strudel, we've had apple pie, applesauce, nothing but apple.
I notice you don't mind the apple cider when it's hard.
Let me put it this way. I have to. I've had a headache ever since the data creator said, let there be light. Look, why don't you just go away forever and leave me alone?
I'll leave. Watch me straight. Well, we did live together here. Frankly, I feel I should
Be kidding. We were never legally married.
but I performed wifely. Booked. I took in the inseam on your big leaf.
Just give me a smaller fig leaf.
You don't grow that small.
Oh, lady.
There's somebody.
Somebody else? You gotta be kidding. Believe me, there's nobody else. Nobody.
How do you define love?
Oh, like an apple.
How much do you love?
Okay, an apple's worth.
What it comes down to is this. I feel I'm entitled.
You never really loved me.
And to land there and figured one of two things would happen.
Either the Greek army responds and comes out to meet him, or he would land.
Hey, Branson, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. Can you hear
All right. Hey, Jason.
Morning. How we doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Yep, no complaints here.
You not feeling crabby?
Nope, nope, not yet.
I saw your hat made me think of that.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of little clothing and marketing things with that on it.
Well, I'm gonna have to come down there and get one of those. I like different stuff.
Yeah, I haven't had time to dig into the merchandise on demand stuff that you sent me. I looked at it a little bit, but I got to really set that up because we sell quite a bit of clothing. I think we could do a lot more if I got more organized about it.
Yeah, I think if you reach out to either Printify or Printful, like one is in North Carolina, the other's in California. I can't remember exactly, but I would get like an account rep and have them, put together a proposal for you, so you don't have to figure everything out yourself, and they won't charge for that. I wouldn't think, but
Okay,
that would be helpful and save you a little bit of time trying to pull it all together.
Yeah, definitely. Because the one I got onto, they wanted you to like design the shirts and stuff on their websites, and I paid for artwork and stuff like that back in the day on all the different stuff I have. So it's just a matter of sending them the files and letting them put it all together, I think. So
Yeah, I think you can upload the files and they'll put it on your stuff. But the other thing I would ask them is like what sells. If anybody in your kind of category that they work with, kind of what's hot in the category, what sells the most, and get some kind of data. So you're not just guessing, what to offer. You have your own, yourself what works, but there may be some trends that you may not be aware of, or they might have some products you didn't really think of before.
Well, yeah, and frankly, what sells in my physical store may be completely different than what sells online. So
yeah, that's right. And I think one thing that you could consider doing when you launch it, you might do something like some sort of combination, buy this and get a free hat, or some sort of cross merchandise just to get people used to, your merchandise and stuff. And okay.
Can you hear me now, Dennis?
Yeah, I hear you good now, Branson. You were very.
I was
before.
telling you, I got contacted by the town of Ayton. I'm doing the first Friday.
Wow.
I'm broadcasting, my radio station's broadcasting their first Friday. So
You ought to video that, man. That's good content.
yeah. And I also did one this past weekend at that lake. So
Yeah. You better keep drinking fluids though, buddy. It's awfully hot out there. I went out and cut the grass yesterday and I saw God twice, in a couple hours I was out there.
you don't have to tell me, sir.
Ugh, could not believe it. And I have more to do today, but that's a story. There's Julian feeding seed, rocking and rolling like usual. How you doing, bud?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. All right. Before we start with today, I got to tell you all something I ran across that I just blew my mind. I haven't had a chance to look into it. So apparently, and I don't know if it's just in China or if it's everywhere, but they're starting to develop virtual hosts for live streaming e-commerce. So you basically script out what you want the thing to say, and they're human looking. They look like people, but they're chatbots, and they can be what they're going to do with them is they're going to go live 24 hours a day and let the chatbot be the host and answer questions and do all that kind of stuff. So I had never thought of something like that. That's crazy, because what it does is it makes live streaming basically as easy as just having a website, right? Because it's just up there and it's running, and you don't have to, prepare and go live and do all that stuff. That the chatbot can do it all. So I'm going to dig into it and get some more details on it. But it sounds cool to me. To have somebody selling your stuff. And I don't know what the interaction is like. It's not live. I mean, it's just a chatbot, but it does respond to both voice and text. So you can say, hey, what's on sale today, or can you take me to the shirts or whatever. So I'm going to look into it. But I thought that was a pretty creative use of AI technology, and they claim that in their testing, the conversion rates are way higher than just having a regular website, which I can believe. We've seen that with our live shows that they go up. But I never thought about having a computer salesperson that could just go, 24/7. So it's pretty wild. Okay, so today we're going to talk about goals, and everybody has their own way of setting goals. Some of them are kind of in the back of your mind. It's, just a general sense of where you want to go. And other people are very precise, and they write stuff down and have checklists, and they check against their progress and all that kind of stuff. So today we're going to take a look at some what Techstars has to say about setting goals. And I think it'll be helpful, hopefully.
I see company after company after company doing the same thing. You have some major milestone you're trying to hit, you navigate well as a group for a while, and then you start corkscrewing. So today is about figuring out how to not do this. A well-stated goal that's effective has two components: the mission component and the outcome component. So that's specific enough, I know what the mission is, but it's ambiguous enough that I can see myself and I can bring my magic into that work. And as a startup, it's dangerous to be on either side of that. The trick early on is most of what you're doing, you'll have no idea if it's valuable or not. So a big piece of potentially your mission is figure out if this works, figure out if this is valuable. How many Mythbusters fans in the room? All right, it's one of my favorite shows. So bummed that it's not on TV anymore. Anybody remember this episode? So this is where Adam and Jamie are trying to test out human navigation when you can't see anything. So Adam is about to get in the water there. And if you see way out in the distance where the arrow pointing is this big, huge reflective mirror. Adam's goal is to get into the water and swim across there. The trick, though, is his eye goggles are complete blinders. He can't see out of them at all, which just sounds awful to me. I can't imagine swimming in an open body of water and you can't see. I mean, you can't see normally in an open body of water, but even not being able to pop your head up, terrifying. So what he's trying to do is the start there is on the left, and the red dot there is what he's, or the dotted line there is what he's trying to go across, and the goal is the other side. Anybody remember how Adam does? He gets in the water, he's like, oh yeah, this isn't too bad, he's swimming along. Voiceover is like, yeah, it feels good, it feels like I'm on track. Seems like I should be there about now. Boy, I've been swimming for a while. And this is the route that he takes. So he basically just makes a corkscrew. And I see company after company after company doing the same thing. You have some major milestone you're trying to hit, you navigate well as a group for a while, and then you start corkscrewing. So today is about figuring out how to not do this. And the big thing here is I see time and time again, especially in younger startups, making the mistake between motion and progress. Just because you're super duper busy, you think that that's what matters the most. But progress really matters a lot too. So today we're going to be talking about how do you make motion, how do you make progress, not just motion. Everything that I'm showing today as examples, because I believe in kind of teaching the concept and then giving you an example and a story, all those stories are from Techstars companies or companies that I've worked with. It's probably, in companies this size, probably in the 300 to 400 now, and in very large companies that are scaling up, it's in the hundreds as well. Teaching them how to do these things. Cool thing about it too is once you get good at it at this size, with only minor changes, these skills transfer all the way up to when you're 500, 1,000, 2,000 person company. Because when you're successful, the thing that goes with success is more people, more of these issues that these techniques are really powerful to solve. So how do we make progress? There's one side of a continuum which is no focus whatsoever. It's like chaos. The other side is myopic focus, rigidity around a goal. And as a startup, it's dangerous to be on either side of that. So what we're trying to find is this place in the middle where we have strong focus, but not myopic focus. And that focus enables us to go from to-do items to done items effectively. Get stuff done, which is really important as a startup. It helps us to understand the problems that we're facing because startups are basically, I call them problem whack-a-mole. If you don't like playing whack-a-mole with problems, either in your market or inside your business, you're playing the wrong sport. So getting good at going from problem to solution is important. And then because so much of what you're doing is based on intuition, and you don't have hard data yet, you have to get good at going from hunch to evidence. And focus and goal setting allows you to do that as well. So we're going to create this progress through focused goal setting. So goals have two components. A well-stated goal that's effective has two components. The mission component and the outcome component. Because a lot of what we talk about when we think about getting work done, we think about the output. I feel good about this because I got it done. I shipped it. I did something. Outcome is a little bit different, which is what are the results that we're trying to generate through doing that work. So mission, when we frame a goal as a mission, the mission component is what progress do we want to make? Meaning, what is this outcome we want to get to? The outcome is, how will we know if we are making progress? So one you can think of it as destination or result. The other one, how do we measure it? And that's where we get objective and key result. So objective is the mission. The key result is the outcome, the measurement of the outcome you want to create. This is commonly referred to as OKRs. These have gotten pretty popular lately. What I'm actually teaching you is a blend between OKRs and about 60 years of lean experience and thinking around how to set strategy from a lean, kind of a lean startup mindset. So those two are blended together. Most of you probably think, oh, OKRs, right, Google does that. They're the most famous for this. A lot of people think that it all started with Google. It didn't actually start with Google, it started with Intel. Back in the early 80s is where the first kind of statement of the OKRs came about. And fantastic book, it's held up incredibly well. High Output Management, Andy Grove's book, great read. It's got some great descriptions in there from the early 80s of how Intel was doing OKRs. I actually had the pleasure to work with a team at Intel that was taking their original OKR framework and transforming it into kind of a blend of lean and OKR. And these are powerful tools. Scale down, because you're not Intel, you don't have 5,000 people eventually doing that work. So this is all scaled down to kind of 3 to 30 people. So effective objectives, again, remember this is the mission. This is the statement of go take on this challenge. So they describe what you want to achieve, not what you want to do. So it's very common when you're setting objectives to say, let's ship feature X. But then that begs the question, what is feature X going to do for you? What is the outcome of shipping feature X? You know, it's like, oh, well, shipping feature X should allow us to get 30% more retention through the initial sign-up process. Awesome. That's your mission. Not shipping this thing, not getting it done, but shipping it. A good objective, an effective objective, is specific enough to create focus and ambiguous enough to enable autonomy. So this is a check on command and control types of leadership, which if the commander is the smartest human being in the office is an effective way to run a company. What I've seen is typically that's not the case. You're hiring smart people, you should get their wisdom into the mix. So creating focus, you could have an objective which is go make magic with the marketing campaign. That's not specific enough to create focus. And you also don't want to say, run these 2 campaigns exactly this way, because that's too specific to create autonomy. So you may want to say, we want to, thinking about, again, the outcome that we're trying to generate, what is this marketing campaign doing for us? We want to try to enable more improved signups through channel testing of marketing campaigns. So that's specific enough, I know what the mission is, but it's ambiguous enough that I can see myself and I can bring my magic into that work. You may not have a known solution when you set the objective. Especially in early days of a company, this is more likely to be the case than not. Set an objective which is, let's dramatically improve our signups through this specific web channel. You may have no idea how you're going to do that, but that's a very effective mission. So be comfortable with that when you're setting it. A lot of plan-driven, if you've come from plan-driven environments, the only valid plan is a plan that has a known solution at the end of it. Well, in startup land, that's almost never the case. So you want plans that accommodate the fact that you don't know everything you need to know when you start the work. If your objective is a to-do, ask yourself, so that what? This will get at the heart of why are you doing it? What is the outcome you're trying to drive to? Often in engineering teams, they can set an objective which is, complete the sprint. Well, that's kind of a to-do. That you could state that as a to-do item. So the underlying question there is, complete the sprint so that what? What's the advantage? What's the benefit? Anybody that's used to Agile, in a user story, there's that so that what at the end, which is the value description. So when you ask yourself the so that what, get at the value piece of it. The trick early on is most of what you're doing, you'll have no idea if it's valuable or not. So a big piece of potentially your mission is figure out if this works, figure out if this is valuable. And the so that what, you may have to ask yourself a couple of times, so that what? And when you get to the point where you're like, so that what, blank, so that what, that's why we're doing this, then that's an effective objective statement. You want it to be a mission, not a to-do list. So very often you can see these objectives where literally it's almost like a backlog statement. It's just the to-do list. We're very used to working in to-do list environments. This requires you to go one level up and ask yourself, what are these to-dos all lining up to accomplish for our company or for us or for a particular piece of it? So anytime you feel like, oh, this is just a to-do item, if I would write this on my to-do list, I encourage you to go one level up into why you're doing that.
I think what's important there is by being aware of the mission, you can have more autonomy among the people in your organization because they're read into the mission and the purpose. They don't necessarily, you don't have to necessarily beat them over the head with every to do. That's what he's saying there.
Okay, effective key results. Remember, a key result allows us to measure our progress along our mission. They're outcome focused, not task completion focused. Very often you'll see key results. So if it's ship feature X is the objective, which isn't a great objective. Again, take it one level up. Why are you doing it? A key result could be 100% burn down of the stories or 100% tasks completed. That is a very, very common key result when you first start this process. I got done with 100% of my stuff. Awesome. If you're trying to make motion, but we're trying to make progress here. So again, think about what does getting 100% of that done enable. Think about the mission. Why are we doing this? What is the destination? What's the outcome we're trying to drive toward? And then ask yourself, okay, how do every day, because in this program I encourage you to check in on this every day, how do we check in on our progress toward the goal we're trying to get toward by the end of this week? They're specific and measurable. So I've seen key results, which is make the customer happy, or customer happiness is the key result. So objective is make customer happy, key result, happy customers. That's not specific enough, and it can also be potentially a challenge to measure. You can't have happiness, but I would encourage you to think about mood surveys, other quantitative things, or you can also think, remember yesterday in KPIs we talked about quantitative versus qualitative. There are ways to set key results that are qualitative, meaning we want 7 positive stories to come out of our user base. So that's a blend of those two. The positive is a judgment call. That's the qualitative side of it. So those are perfectly acceptable. Have a known starting value. So we talked about on the objective side, it's okay if you don't know how to complete it. On the key results side though, it's important to stare in the face, can we actually measure this? Because one of the traps you'll often fall into is you'll set a great objective, key result makes total sense, and that's your goal for the week, and you spend 5 days figuring out how in the world are we going to measure this key result. And you put all your effort into the measurement rather than in actually making the progress you're trying to make. So it's beneficial if you can measure it at the beginning. If you can't, then ask yourself, can we defer this key result to next week? And put in our backlog this week, our to-do items, that we want to instrument a little bit of this because we know this objective and key results coming next week. Can be multiplied by 0.7. The intention of these key results are not to sandbag yourself, meaning set a really easy bar that anybody can hit. The goal here, the intention is to set goals that stretch you a little bit. They should be a challenge to get to, which means when you get to 0.7, that means you've set a pretty good goal. So if it's getting 100 signups is your key result, you should be really happy with 70. That's how to think about this. Now the flip side of that, in startup land this isn't as important, but in larger companies this is a huge, huge issue, which is a lot of people think, oh, well, this is just management by objectives. This is an MBO, and I'm going to tie compensation, because that's what we do with MBOs. So when you tie compensation to the achievement of key results, guess what happens? You get, just like you will with your investors on term sheets, you'll get into this negotiation of what the number should be. You want it low, whoever's leading the group wants it high, and then it's this, you're negotiating with each other rather than figuring out how to actually achieve the results you want to achieve. So please don't tie compensation. You can tie parties or fun things, but any time that somebody feels like my bottom line rides on this in the short term. Now the irony of this, especially for startups, is everybody's bottom line rides on this in the long term. But in the short term, you don't want it to ride on this. And you want to help understand how to move your KPIs. Yesterday during the KPI workshop, I talked about how goal setting really fits in with KPIs. KPIs are sort of the long view. Goal setting is how you move that incrementally. So think about your KPIs and think about how those relate to your goal setting. It's important not to have your KPI be your key result.
KPI is key performance indicator. So that could be X number of customers per week, with any number of things that tell you that you're performing in the way you want or need to perform, and the goals are the steps to reach those key performance indicators.
Result. And let me explain why. So remember back to yesterday when we were talking about we've got leading and lagging indicators, we've got generic, specific, behavioral. So let's say that what we're trying to do is, from a KPI standpoint, over a series of goal setting weeks, we want to increase our daily active users. So this is a KPI we're tracking. This is a super important KPI for us as a company. Don't pick daily active users as your key result for goal setting. What you want to do is look in this zone for your key results. Because what you're trying to do is figure out in that Rube Goldberg, that your machine that you're inside of that's called your company, you're trying to figure out what's the link between the KPI that matters the most to us and the other things we can measure that are going to drive change over time with that KPI. So this is really important when you're setting goals to move KPIs. Keep this image in mind. The reality is, when you look at this, you're like, I have no idea what's going to improve daily active users. Awesome. Take your best guess. Take the best guess that you can quickly measure, that you can quickly move forward, set a goal around it, drive it for a week, see what happens. If there's no correlation there, awesome. You learned that there's no correlation between this thing we were just measuring and the KPI we're trying to increase. You want to create an understanding about the link between action and outcome. Again, like the OK Go video yesterday, you're going to knock some bowling pins down, ball's going to roll this way, and you're going to have no idea what gets set off. So this is about learning the linkage, the correlation linkage. Ultimately, you want to get to cause and effect, but don't jump to cause and effect too soon, because initially all you're going to have is correlation. If we do this over here, it seems like this happens over here. And this over here seems like it's part of this over here. Remember, correlation goes both directions, or makes sense in both directions. So you're going to have moments where, yeah, Facebook spend goes up, signups go up. Well, signups went up and Facebook spend went up too. So you're going to have that level of understanding of your business. But that's a really important part of the key results. It's a learning exercise. And it's okay if this feels frustrating. What this is going to do, the first few times you do this, is like, well, this sucks. Because like I set this key result. I don't know if it was the right key result. It didn't move. What's going on? And I'll get into in a second here how you fight through that and get smarter about your business. So again, this isn't just about getting work done. This is about getting smarter about how your business and your market work together. It's ideal if you have a short lag between action and measurable outcome. Net Promoter Score, I'll pick on Net Promoter Score for a second. It's a great measure. It makes for a horrible key result. Anybody that's done a lot of Net Promoter work, you know there's a pretty sizable lag often between interaction with the customer and the Net Promoter Scores going up or down. Especially when you're doing weekly goal setting, it's really super hard to move your NPS week over week. If you slice it by channel, or if you do slice it by cohort, sometimes you can get it, but often people's sentiment takes a long time. So be mindful of how long is that lag.
Okay. Do any of you guys use any kind of tool or software for like to-do lists or for goal setting? Is that something that anybody uses? Yellow Pad? Okay. Branson, how about you?
I use the to-do list with my Apple devices, so it's on my computers and phones and tablets with reminders. Yep.
Is that the Notepad, or what app is that?
That is the Notepad, and then they have a to-do list inside your phone.
Okay.
and it's kind of like a alarm. So what I do is I kind of load up what I have to do for the day and set timers on it.
Oh, wow. You're disciplined. So I kind of, I'm more like Jason. I have pads all over the place and I write stuff and then I never find them again. And, can't remember which pad that was for which day. So then I started buying these little fancy notebooks like this one, which makes me feel like I'm, official and stuff. And that has improved because I do tend to look for that notebook as opposed to just any pad. I'm famous for having an unlimited number of yellow pads because
Color code.
okay, for 20 some years, I just had piles of yellow pads everywhere. And just I'm embarrassed to even go back and look at them because sometimes it looks like, I woke up in the middle of the night and just started scrawling something from a dream or something. I don't know. But I do think it's a good idea. There is a software program that my brother-in-law, who's the world's most organized person I've ever met, he uses a program called Asana, ASANA. And I know over the class, a lot of people have told me that they've used it. Apparently, it's quite easy to use. Don't ask me how it works, but it's a word I hear lots of times of people using a tool called Asana for setting up to-dos and tying them into goals. There's also another one I've heard a lot about is one called Notion. Apparently Notion is currently a hot tool. Again, haven't looked at any of that. I'd rather run around looking for my notebook, and or one of three. I intentionally made each one very different. So at least I know it's not the same one. So unlike a yellow pad where they all look exactly the same, right? So that's one thing I've done. But okay, well, that's what we have for today. I know another short and sweet one. We're not going to have class tomorrow. I'm having fun. I'm getting a colonoscopy. Yay. So hopefully I'll make it back from that in one piece. But Thursday will be our last class for this cohort. So I got a few things I want to share with you for Thursday. So hope everyone has a good day and hopefully I'll return from the colonoscopy. All right. Take care, everybody.